The call that changed everything. The monitoring station orbiting Proxima 7 hummed with its usual quiet efficiency. Officer Nev sat at his console, his 4 eyes scanning the various readouts that tracked thousands of signals across this sector of space. The Galactic Council paid him well to watch for trouble, though in his 12 years of service, real emergencies were rare. Then the screen flashed red. Nev's tentacles moved quickly across the controls, isolating the signal. His body went rigid as he listened to the transmission. It was coming from Velria Prime, a peaceful colony world on the Outer Rim. "This is Elder Mara of Velria Prime," the voice was shaking, barely controlled. "We are under attack. 15 ships bearing Red Fang clan markings have entered our system. They demand our supplies, our technology, our submission. We have no weapons, no defenses. Please, anyone who receives this, we need help." Nev immediately forwarded the message to Galactic Peacekeeping Command and checked their response time. His heart sank. 6 standard days. The Velrians would be lucky to survive 6 hours once the pirates decided to stop negotiating and start taking what they wanted. 3. Systems away, Captain. Jake Morrison floated in the observation deck of the Wanderer, a coffee bulb in one hand, watching the stars drift past. The cargo run to Theta Station had been routine medical supplies, construction equipment, nothing exciting. That's how he liked it these days, his communicator chirped. "Jake, you need to hear this." It was Emma, his pilot, and her voice carried an edge. He recognized Jake, pushed off the wall, and glided toward the bridge. His movements practiced in the zero-gravity section of the ship. The Wanderer wasn't much to look at a blocky human cargo vessel, all function and no style, but she was fast and surprisingly tough. Emma had the distress call playing on the main screen. Tom, their engineer, stood nearby, his arms crossed. Lisa, their medical officer, was already present, her face troubled. They listened in silence as Elder Mara's plea echoed through the bridge. "That's Velrian space," Tom said quietly. "Nice folks. I traded with some of them last year. They make these incredible sculptures." 6 days, Emma said, pulling up the navigation data. "That's how long until peacekeeping arrives. The pirates won't wait that long." Jake studied the star chart. The Velrians were 3 systems away, normally a 10-hour trip at standard cruise. He looked at his crew, really looked at them. These weren't soldiers anymore, not officially. They'd all left that life behind when they mustered out of Earth's defense fleet 5 years ago. "We can make it in 8 hours if I push the engines and cut through the Carrie's belt," Emma said. She wasn't asking permission, just stating facts. "That asteroid field?" Tom raised an eyebrow. "The one with the warning buoys in 6 languages? I'm human. I learned to drive in Mumbai traffic. The Carrie's belt is nothing." Despite the tension, Jake almost smiled. Earth's inclusion in the galactic community had been shocking for both sides. Humans had expected to be the primitive species, but it turned out they'd evolved on one of the most dangerous planets in known space. High gravity, extreme weather, aggressive predators, disease. Natural disasters Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, nearly uninhabitable by galactic standards. "Vote," Jake said simply. That's how they'd always done it. Emma's hand went up immediately. Tom followed a moment later. Lisa hesitated, then nodded. "Medical bay will be ready," she said quietly. Jake opened a channel to Earth Command, explaining the situation. Commander Phillips appeared on the screen, her dark face thoughtful. "Captain Morrison, I can't order you to engage 15 pirate vessels with a cargo ship," she said carefully. "But I also can't forbid a civilian captain from responding to a distress call. Your ship, your choice. Just remember, we've only been in this galactic community for 15 years. People are still figuring out what humans are capable of." "Understood, Commander." "Jake," Phillips said, her official tone dropping. Make them remember why they shouldn't mess with Deathworlders. The Race the Wanderer's engines flared bright as Emma pushed them past recommended limits. The ship shuddered slightly, but Tom's voice came calm over the intercom. She hold. Might complain about it, but she hold. Jake spent the journey reviewing everything they knew about the Red Fang clan. Pirates, mostly Krex and Threx species, known for raiding isolated colonies. They usually avoided confrontation with armed vessels, preferring easy targets. They've never fought humans before, Emma noted, reading over his shoulder. Nobody has, really. Not in actual combat. Jake pulled up the sparse records of human military history that had been shared with the Galactic Council. Most species had found it disturbing reading. Thousands of years of near-constant warfare. Weapons that could destroy entire planets. Conflicts that killed millions over ideology, resources, territory. Did you see the Council's psychological profile on us? Tom asked, bringing them coffee. They called us persistence predators with pack-bonding instincts and disproportionate threat responses. That's a fancy way of saying we're stubborn. Loyal and don't know when to quit, Lisa translated. The hours ticked by. Jake had Tom run diagnostics on their weapon systems, railguns, missile pods, and point defense lasers that most species considered excessive for a cargo vessel. But humans had learned long ago. Hope for peace. Prepare for war. Arrival the Wanderer dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Valerian system. The tactical display immediately lit up with contacts. 15 ships, just like the report, Emma said. They've got the orbital platform surrounded. The colony is on the surface below, about 50,000 Valerians. Jake studied the enemy formation. The pirate ships were a mix of classes, nothing too modern, but together they represented serious firepower. Against a cargo vessel, it should have been no contest. Should have been. Open a channel to the pirates, Jake ordered. The main screen flickered, showing a reptilian face with scarred scales and cold eyes. Voss, the pirate leader, grinned with too many teeth. Well, a human ship. I've heard stories about your kind. Come to die for strangers, have you? I've come to give you a chance to leave, Jake said calmly. Withdraw now, and this doesn't have to get ugly. Voss's laugh was harsh. You're one ship. I have 15. Your species may come from a harsh world, but you're still flesh and blood. My weapons will tear through your hull just fine. Captain, another voice interrupted. A smaller Threx appeared at the edge of the screen. Captain Voss, the reports about humans. Kip, not now. Voss snapped, but Kip continued, his voice urgent. They evolved hunting creatures 10 times their size. Their world has weather that would kill most species in minutes. They have reflexes designed for combat. And their history is full of primitives beating each other with sticks, Voss finished. I'm not afraid of cargo haulers. Jake opened another channel, this one to the Valerian colony. An elderly face appeared, pale blue skin and large, gentle eyes. Asterisk when Deathworlders fight. Elder Mara, Jake said gently. I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Wanderer. We received your distress call. I need you and your people to stay inside and away from windows. Things are about to get loud. Mara's eyes widened. You're going to fight them? But there are so many, and you're just one ship. Your species, you'll be killed. Ma'am, my species has been fighting since we learned to stand upright. We'll be fine. He paused. But I need you to understand something. Combat isn't pretty. What you're about to see might be disturbing. We don't enjoy this, but we're very good at it. Mara nodded slowly, confusion and hope mixing on her face. The Valerians had abandoned violence 3,000 years ago. They barely understood the concept of war anymore. Jake switched back to Voss. Last chance. Leave now. The pirate leader's grin widened. I think I'll take my chances. Maybe I'll sell your ship for scrap after I'm done with Emma, Jake interrupted. Tom, show them why Earth is classified as a death world. The dance begins. The Wanderer exploded forward with acceleration that made the inertial dampeners scream in protest. Emma had cut the safeties, pushing the ship to limits that would have liquefied most alien species. Humans, evolved in high gravity, could handle it. Holy Voss didn't finish his sentence as the human ship closed the distance in seconds, moving faster than any cargo vessel should have been capable of. Evasive pattern delta, Jake ordered. Emma's hands flew across the controls. The Wanderer jinked left, rolled, dove, and spiraled movements borrowed from Earth's atmospheric fighters, adapted for space combat. Most species flew in predictable patterns, their ships moving like the ocean vessels that had inspired their designs. Asterisk. Humans had learned to fly like predators they'd once hunted. Hawks, eagles, falcons. The pirate ships opened fire. Energy beams and plasma bolts filled the space where the Wanderer had been a moment before. Emma's ship danced between them, her reflexes honed by years of combat and enhanced by adrenaline, that wonderful human hormone that turned ordinary people into temporary superhuman warriors. Their targeting computers can't keep up, Tom reported with satisfaction. They're calibrated for normal species reaction times. Weapon range in 5 seconds, Emma called out. Tom, release the cargo, Jake ordered. The Wanderer's cargo bay doors opened, and dozens of containers tumbled out into space. The pirate ships hesitated, confused. Were the humans jettisoning cargo to run faster? Then the containers exploded, not with fire. There was no oxygen in space for that, but with thousands of metal ball bearings, each one accelerated to tremendous velocity. Tom had rigged them during the journey, turning simple cargo containers into massive shotgun blasts. 3 pirate ships flew directly into the expanding clouds of metal. Their shields, designed to stop energy weapons and missiles, did nothing against the kinetic impacts. The ball bearings tore through hulls like paper. Venting atmosphere and shredding systems. 2 ships went dark immediately, life support failing. The third tumbled out of control, its navigation systems destroyed. 12 left, Emma said calmly, already lining up the next maneuver. Predator tactics. Spread out. Voss screamed at his fleet. Surround them. They can't dodge all of us. But Jake had no intention of dodging all of them. That was the mistake most species made. They thought combat was about avoiding damage. Humans had learned thousands of years ago that sometimes you had to take a hit to deliver a better one. Emma, take us through their formation. Tom, ready the railguns. The Wanderer dove straight into the cluster of pirate ships. Energy beams scorched across her hull, burning through outer armor. Alarms wailed as systems took damage. Shields at 60%, Tom reported. Hull breach on deck 3, sealing now. But they were inside the formation now, too close for the pirate ships to fire without hitting each other. Emma spun the Wanderer in a tight spiral, and Tom opened up with the railguns. Humanity's railgun technology was considered primitive by galactic standards, just magnetically accelerated metal slugs. No exotic particles, no energy matrices, just simple kinetic force. But simple didn't mean ineffective. The slugs punched through shields like they weren't there. One pirate ship took 3 hits in quick succession, each slug entering one side and exiting the other. The kinetic energy transfer, tearing the ship apart from the inside. Another ship tried to ram the Wanderer. Emma saw it coming, flipped the ship 90 degrees, and fired the maneuvering thrusters at full burn. The Wanderer slid sideways, a maneuver that should have been impossible for a ship that size, and the pirate vessel shot past. Missing by meters, Tom put 2 railgun slugs into its engines as it passed. 9 ships left, Emma counted, On the colony surface, Elder Mara watched through the orbital platform's cameras, her hands covering her mouth. The Valerians around her stood in horrified silence. They'd never seen violence like this. The human ship moved like a living thing, like one of Earth's predators toying with prey. "They're going to kill them all," someone whispered. "No," Mara said quietly, understanding dawning in her ancient eyes. "They're going to save us. This is what it means to be protected by Deathworlders." The psychology of Fear Voss stared at his tactical display in disbelief. He'd lost 6 ships in less than 3 minutes. The human vessel should have been space dust by now, but instead it moved through his formation like death itself. "Sir, we should withdraw," Kip urged. "The reports were right. We can't fight them. We outnumber them." Voss roared, but his voice carried an edge of fear now. "Numbers don't matter if they can think faster, move faster, and hit harder," Kip said. "Look at them. They're not even trying to flee. They're hunting us." And it was true. The Wanderer wasn't running or defending. It was attacking with a methodical efficiency that spoke of thousands of years of warfare. Every move had purpose. Every shot was calculated. Jake watched the pirate formation begin to crack. This was the other advantage humans had: psychological warfare. Most species in the galaxy had forgotten what it meant to face a predator. They'd evolved on gentle worlds, become civilized, peaceful. Violence was something from their distant past. Humans remembered. More than that, humans understood fear because they'd spent millions of years both causing it and feeling it. "Open a channel to all pirate ships," Jake ordered. His face appeared on every pirate vessel's screen. There was no anger in his expression, no rage, just cold, calm confidence. That made it worse somehow. "You have 1 minute to power down your weapons and surrender," Jake said. "Or we continue. Your choice. You're bluffing." Voss shouted. "You've taken damage too." "Yes," Jake acknowledged. "We've lost some armor plating and a few non-critical systems. You've lost 6 ships and roughly 300 crew members. Would you like to make it 7 ships and 400 crew?" The silence on the pirate channels was deafening. 45 seconds, Jake continued. "I want to be very clear about something. My species doesn't enjoy killing. We don't do this for pleasure, but we're extremely good at it when necessary. We've had a lot of practice." Tom muted their transmission temporarily. "Jake, the Valerians are listening to this." "I know," Jake said quietly. "They need to understand what they're asking for when they call for help. Protection has a cost, even if they're not the ones paying it." He unmuted the channel. 20 seconds. After that, we stopped being polite. On his ship, Voss looked at his remaining vessels. The human ship had positioned itself between his fleet and the colony. Even damaged, it showed no signs of retreating. And those weapons, those primitive, brutal weapons, had torn through his ships like they were made of plastic. "Sir?" Kip asked quietly. Voss's shoulders sagged. "Power down weapons. All ships." The aftermath begins. The bridge of the Wanderer was silent as the pirate ship's weapons went dark one by one. Asterisk, the galaxy learns. The pirate ships hung in space like broken toys. Their weapons dark, their crews waiting in fearful silence. Jake kept the railguns trained on them anyway. Trust was earned, not given freely. "Tom, damage report," Jake ordered. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 5, sealed. We lost some armor plating on the starboard side. Shields are down to 40%. Engines are fine. Weapons are fine. Lisa's medical bay is ready, but we took no casualties." "None?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "Not a scratch. Turns out having a pilot who thinks physics are optional helps." Emma grinned from her station. "I keep telling you people Mumbai traffic prepared me for anything." Jake opened a channel to the lead pirate ship. Voss appeared on screen, his reptilian features showing an emotion that translated clearly across species. Defeat. Here's what happens now, Jake said. You're going to transfer any Valerian goods or technology you've already taken back to the colony. Then you're going to jump out of this system and never come back. Your ships are being recorded by a dozen different sensors. If any of you show up in Valerian space again, the Galactic Council will know, and so will Earth. And if we refuse? Voss asked, though his voice carried no real challenge. Then we finish what we started, Jake said simply. But I don't think you're that stupid. Are you? Voss's clawed hand clenched, then relaxed. No, we'll comply. Smart choice. First contact, human style. An hour later, the pirate ships jumped away, leaving the Valerian system empty, except for the Wanderer and the orbital platform. Jake had watched them go personally, making sure each one actually left. Captain Morrison. Elder Marat's voice came over the communication channel. May we invite you to the colony? We would like to thank you properly. Jake glanced at his crew. Emma shrugged. Tom nodded. Lisa smiled slightly. We'd be honored, Elder Mara. The shuttle ride down to Valeria Prime was quiet. None of them spoke much. There was a strange feeling that always came after combat relief, exhaustion, and something else. Guilt, maybe? The knowledge that they'd taken lives, even if those lives had belonged to pirates threatening innocence. Lisa finally broke the silence. Do you think we scared them? The Valerians, I mean. Probably, Jake admitted. But better scared and alive than dead and mourned. The colony was beautiful. Low, graceful buildings covered in living plants, artwork everywhere, gentle music drifting through the air. The Valerians themselves were delicate beings, averaging about 5 feet tall, with pale blue skin and large, expressive eyes. They moved with a grace that came from evolving on a low-gravity world. A crowd had gathered near the landing pad. They kept their distance, watching the humans with a mixture of gratitude and wariness. Jake felt awkward under the stares of hundreds of Valerians. You're welcome, Elder. We just did what anyone should do, answered a call for help. But not anyone could do what you did, Mara said gently. We watched the battle. We saw. She paused, searching for words. We saw what your species is capable of. It was terrifying and magnificent at once. Around them, the Valerian crowd murmured agreement. Some looked awed. Some looked frightened. All looked grateful. We are an old species, Mara continued. We've been part of the galactic community for 7,000 years. In all that time, we've never seen anyone fight like humans fight. You move differently. Think differently. Those pirates didn't stand a chance, did they? They could have left, Emma said quietly. We gave them the option. But they didn't believe you would actually fight, Mara said, understanding in her ancient eyes. They thought it was posturing. They didn't understand that your species means what it says. A young Valerian child, no more than the equivalent of 6 years old, broke from the crowd and ran toward Tom. The adults gasped in alarm, but Tom just knelt down, making himself less imposing. Thank you for saving my mom, the child said in heavily accented but clear English. She works on the platform. Tom's expression softened. You're welcome, kid. That's what we're here for. The child reached out and touched Tom's hand, fascinated by the difference in skin texture. Then he ran back to his mother, who looked embarrassed but grateful. That one gesture seemed to break the tension. More Valerians approached, cautiously at first, then with growing confidence. They wanted to know about Earth, about humans, about the species that had dropped everything to save strangers. The recording spreads 30 light years away. On the Galactic Council Station, Officer Nev watched the combat footage for the 5th time. His tentacles trembled slightly. By the ancient stars, he whispered, the footage had been recorded automatically by monitoring systems throughout the Valerian system. Every major species in the galaxy used similar technology, and within hours, the recordings had spread across official channels. By the next day, they'd gone viral across the entire galactic network. Commander Phillips sat in her office on Earth, watching the news feeds with satisfaction. The footage was everywhere, being analyzed by military experts, civilian commentators, and xenobiologists from 100 different species. Did you see how fast that ship moved? One Threx analyst was saying on screen. Those acceleration patterns should have killed the crew from G-forces alone. The weapons seemed primitive, another expert added, but the application was brilliant. They used kinetic weapons at close range, where shields are less effective. And those cargo containers turning civilian equipment into weapons? That's terrifying creativity. What concerns me most, a dignified Eldon diplomat said, is the cold efficiency. No hesitation, no mercy once combat began, but also no unnecessary cruelty. They're not berserkers or savages. They're professional warriors who happen to be individually more capable than most species' best soldiers. Phillips smiled slightly. This was the message Earth had been trying to send since first contact. Don't mistake our desire for peace as weakness. We can be your friends or your worst nightmare. Choose wisely, her communicator chimed. It was the Earth ambassador to the Galactic Council. Commander, we're being flooded with requests, Ambassador Chan said, barely contained excitement in her voice. 57 different species want to discuss defense treaties. 3 dozen more want to hire human security forces. And the Council itself is requesting a meeting about human military capabilities. Tell them we'll talk, Phillips said. But make sure they understand something. We're not mercenaries. We don't fight for profit. We fight for friends, for people who need help, for the ones who can't protect themselves. That might make us more popular, not less, John warned. I know, but it's who we are. Ripples across the galaxy on the pirate haven of Kresk Station, the atmosphere was subdued. Word had spread quickly about the Red Fang clan's defeat. Voss and his survivors had limped into port, their ships battered, their pride destroyed. In the dark corners of the station, other pirate captains met in worried clusters. 15 ships, one whispered, against one cargo vessel. Did you see the footage? They turned their own cargo into weapons. What else can they improvise? I heard the pilot was flying patterns that would kill normal species from the G-forces alone. And that captain, did you hear the way he talked? No emotion, just cold facts. Power down, or we continue, like it was business. The message spread. Avoid human ships. Avoid human colonies. Avoid anything with Earth markings. The risk wasn't worth it. On the peaceful world of Vendra, the Council of Elders watched the footage in their meditation chambers. They'd been debating whether to appeal to the Galactic Council for military protection against raiders in their sector. The cost had seemed too high, the cultural contamination too risky. Perhaps, the eldest said slowly, we should consider alternative arrangements. These humans, they seem to understand that violence is sometimes necessary for peace, and they don't appear to enjoy it. That's important. Similar conversations were happening across dozens of worlds. The galaxy was learning what humanity represented, not conquerors or warmongers, but defenders with the capability to back up their promises. Back on Valeria, Prime the sun was setting on Valeria Prime when Jake and his crew prepared to leave. The Wanderer was repaired, restocked, and ready for departure. The Valerians had insisted on fixing the damage, though it had required calling in specialists working on human technology, required understanding stress tolerances most species considered insane. Elder, Mara walked with Jake to the shuttle. Captain Morrison, I must ask you something, she said. Your species, you've only been in space for a few hundred years. Only part of the galactic community for 15. Yet you fight like you've been warriors for millennia. Why? Jake stopped, looking back at the peaceful colony. Because Earth isn't kind, Elder. It never was. We had to fight for everything: food, water, shelter, survival. We fought predators 10 times our size. We fought each other. We fought disease and disasters, and a planet that sometimes seemed determined to kill us. Eventually, we learned to work together, to point all that aggression outward, instead of at each other. But we never forgot how to fight. We just got better at choosing when it's necessary. And today was necessary? Mara asked gently. Today was necessary, Jake confirmed. Your people didn't deserve what those pirates planned for them. So yes, it was necessary. Mara touched his hand briefly, the Valerian gesture of deep respect. Then thank you, Captain. Not just for saving us, but for carrying that burden so we don't have to. As the shuttle rose into the sky, the crew of the Wanderer looked down at the colony lights beginning to glow in the twilight. Do you think this changes anything? Emma asked. Everything, Jake said. The galaxy just learned that Deathworlders are willing to fight for others. That we're not just dangerous, we're dangerously protective. Is that a good thing? Lisa wondered. Time will tell, Tom said. But at least nobody's going to mistake kindness for weakness anymore. The Wanderer broke atmosphere and pointed toward the stars. Behind them, Valeria Prime began broadcasting a message across all channels. A simple statement that would be repeated by dozens of other species in the coming months. Under the protection of Earth. Approach with peaceful intent only. The galaxy had witnessed what Deathworlders could do. Now they would learn what it meant to be their allies or their enemies. And somewhere in deep space, on 100 different worlds, beings looked at the stars with new understanding. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be quite the same. The end asterisk.